Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Nerdy and Proud. As always, I'm your host Matt, and joining me today are a lot of guests, so let's just jump right into introductions.
What's up? My name's Jake. How's it going?
Rachel, how you doing?
Marty, what's up?
Mike Golden.
Kevin.
Alright, and today's topic is probably what brought you all to this show. It's FullMetal Alchemist. So, I have a list of questions for you guys, but first let's just start off with, what made you watch FullMetal Alchemist? Like, what brought you into the series?
For me, it was Adult Swim, really. You know, back in the day, you'd watch Toonami, you'd see some Dragon Ball Z and whatnot, but as you grew up older, I stayed up later, and you get to see all the more edgy, it's not the word I want to look for, but for anime-wise, a lot more action, a lot more company stories, like Goshen and Shell was the big one, Cowboy Bebop.
Mature audience, like
Exactly.
teens and stuff.
And so in that one, I saw, I think the first episode I ever saw was on Adult Swim. It was one where, in FullMetal, the original one, Scar is chasing after them. It's the first time we meet Scar, and it just blew my mind. So I went online, found it, and I just fell in love with the story, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly, I kind of wish, like, that's the way it was, but, like, I literally got into it, like, a month ago. You know, I walked in my friends, I think it's, like, episode 6 of Brotherhood, and the little girl turned into a chimera, and then they kill her afterwards, and then Scar runs around, like,
That was so bad.
And, like, from there, I was
So
like,
bad.
oh my god, like, what is this? Like, I need to continue watching, and we wound up crushing episodes, right, episode after episode.
I feel like that episode kind of elevated the series.
Oh,
like,
definitely.
Before it was this great series that had phenomenal animation, very adult attitude.
A lot of fun, little light, yeah.
But it had fun. You know,
Yeah.
it was able to change tone very quickly.
With the exception
But
of
that
Mother,
episode,
but-
that episode
Went
showed.
from, like, you know,
0 to 60.
This is what we're gonna do. Episode 6. She's dead.
Yeah.
She's dead.
First we transformed her to be in a lot of pain, and then we kill her.
God, that was so sad.
What a great dad.
Yeah, honestly. Shout out to Tucker.
Yeah, my friend actually recommended me to the series, and I watched the original first. I loved it, and then I heard about Brotherhood, and I'm like, oh, I have to go see what this is now. And now I'm like, oh, I just love both.
Mike,
Same here, yeah. A friend of mine recommended it, and it kept popping up on my Netflix recommended, so I had to check it out, and it turned out to be one of my favorite animes.
There you go. Always give in to the recommendations.
You're
always right.
Dude, Netflix knows me better than my girlfriend.
Seriously.
That's how it is. All right. So as you were watching it, I'm sure you guys probably grew attached to any characters. So what are your favorite characters?
My favorite has to be Alphonse. I absolutely love him. I mean, I relate to Ed more. I am the shortest and the oldest of all my siblings, so I can relate to that, but I feel Alphonse's character is the one that grew the most. You know, here's a kid, he has his entire body taken away. We have to emphasize that he is a kid, and he has an entire body taken away. He could have just given up so easily, and he didn't. He was the one who kept Ed going. He was the one who kept himself going, and he kept everyone else believing in them. I think he was like the foundation for everything that happened in the show.
That's deep.
Yeah.
Don't you follow that. Next question.
Well,
No, I'm
I do want to point out the fact, though, is that different characters had different evolutions inside FullMetal and Brotherhood. You know, if you look at the homunculi, again, I don't want to spoil it for Jake because he hasn't finished FullMetal yet, and the other people haven't finished Brotherhood, but the evolution of the homunculus, some of them turn good at the end, while in Brotherhood, most of them stay evil. But for me, my favorite character was Greed. You know, the evolution in both of them just blew my mind. His character itself, he became the embodiment of greed so much that he wanted to become human. He didn't want to be mortal anymore. The fact that he would go against his creator when everyone else is so fearful of him, he's so greedy that he decided to take charge of his own life. Just blew my mind. And everyone who followed him, the half chimeras that weren't failed experiments, like unfortunately the daughter, I love him as a character. And the fights between him and Ed, especially in the original FullMetal, which is my favorite fight so far. You know?
Yeah, that was a good one.
Can't wait to reset it.
Have you seen it yet?
No, I haven't, yo.
You're gonna love
Come
it.
on.
Greed, you know, I do agree that Greed is one of the better characters because, you know, like you said, he is trying to become, like, not trying to become what he wants. He's so, and like, he wants all of it that he's trying to become human. But honestly, hands down, I think it's got to be,
What was he looking for?
oh, stop, come on.
Mustang?
Yeah, Colonel Mustang, yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yes.
There you go.
it's
That's a
Randy,
close
it's
second.
Randy.
It's a close
For me,
second.
it goes from like between Ed and then Colonel Mustang. But like, you know, Ed throughout the entire thing, you want to like really, like, he is you almost, you know, you're trying to really, you want to bring back his mother, you want to bring back his arm and get Alphonse back in his body. But then, you know, it just comes back like Colonel Mustang and then he kills Lust and it's just like,
Oh, that was so
That was
great.
fantastic.
That was a
Who does
great.
the voice acting for Lust? Because that was incredible. It sounded like she was dying.
Oh, yeah.
It was
For,
incredible.
which, the English? Or?
Yeah, for English. I never watched the.
Yeah, I
sub.
watched
the
the English
Japanese.
too.
yeah, I watched the dub.
Yeah, I watched the dub as well because
I've heard the sub.
It's one of the
Yeah,
better
I guess
ones.
I'm the only one to watch the sub.
Yeah.
The sub is fun. I actually prefer it more.
I prefer subs usually, but the dub for that one isn't bad.
That's an
I feel
argument
like-
for end of the day, sub versus dub. But I definitely see where you're coming from. Where some
Yeah.
anime is just
We're getting way ahead into my future for podcasts. So let's just sidebar that for now. I'm taking my ideas away.
No, but I actually like that you mentioned Colonel Mustang because he is my favorite character, but Scars is such a close second.
Yeah.
I feel like
It's so true.
he made the first part of the show. It just
He
more
was
and
the
more-
first
Yeah, he
half
was
of
the
the
first half.
series.
It
No
just-
matter which one you watched, if you watched the original or you watched Brotherhood, he was the first half of the series.
He was the perfect plot device to explore everyone's past, to explore Mustang's past, and I feel like he's just such a tragic character and such a complicated character.
He is made. He actually says in Brotherhood at one point that he is made of the hatred from the Ishvalan War,
Yeah, and it's
and his
I
character
love-
shows it.
Yeah, he's really deep. Yeah.
his backstory with him and Hawkeye is beautiful. You know, the fact that Hawkeye gave up her entire life to join him and teach her the alchemy that she tattooed on her back was crazy. If they didn't see that, sorry, but yeah, no,
I'm not gonna worry about
He's not
spoilers.
podcast,
yeah.
I'm not gonna
In
worry
his
about it.
head, he's definitely like punching all of us.
No,
ruining the
the whole thing about spoilers for me is like it's not about the spoiler, but it's how you get to that. So you know you can
Yeah.
drop whatever you want, but it's like the leading up to it.
It's the best part.
That's
Yeah, as long as you don't say how you got to it.
Right.
yeah. I mean,
I
yeah,
get that.
Because
sure.
that's the most enjoyable part is like figuring, like even throughout this entire series, figuring out how Alphonse is gonna get his body back.
Yeah.
You know, it can be if that's spoiled for you. If how it happens
whole
is spoiled
journey.
for you,
Yeah.
that person's dying.
I get that. Yeah.
Also, it's Laura Bailey that was the voice actress of Lust.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
She's done a lot of work around the industry.
She really has. Yeah, she's
Yeah, she's done a lot of
Laura
things.
Bailey, yeah, it's a-
She's done a lot of things in video games and animes. She's
Final Fantasy. She's
Yes.
part of that.
Did she?
Yeah.
yes.
Awesome.
who she did?
What's her
Well, she
name?
did. I think it was Sarah in
Yeah, she was
13.
Sarah.
Oh, she's
Sarah
13.
Yeah.
So is nobody gonna shout out for Winry, favorite character? Nah, I'm just kidding.
She is a boss.
So favorite character's got to be Mace Hughes. I mean, come on.
Oh, mate.
I still have nightmares about that dark day in the telephone booth.
Oh, don't start.
So
That hit my
he's
feelings.
almost like the sacrificial lamb of the series, who just like you immediately get attached, and then he's ripped away from you, and then you're like, all right, we have to fix everything. The homunculi gotta go down now. We're gonna figure it out. We're gonna figure it all out. And easily my favorite character.
You just turned into Colonel Mustang because that's you really did because that's exactly.
You got really boiled up because that's his death is actually what sparks Colonel Mustang's like extreme hatred for
Revolution.
him to like really push for this. Like, all right, everyone's going down. They just killed my best friend.
I will say, the thing with Hughes and Mustang, and one of the biggest recurring themes inside FullMetal Alchemist I love is redemption. You know, Ed and Alphonse are trying to get their bodies back to redeem themselves. They're trying to bring back their mother. All the people, all the alchemists, like Colonel Mustang, Hawkeye, they're all trying to redeem themselves for what they did in Ishval. And that's one of the biggest things I love about the stories. Is this huge turn of redemption, like in Brotherhood as well, with with their father. I forgot his name, but trying to redeem what happened with the Man in the Flask too.
Hohenheim.
You know, it's one of the biggest themes of the thing. I love it.
Hohenheim
You know?
is who's-
Hohenheim, yeah, Hohenheim,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
And even Scar has redemption. Even
Yeah.
not at first. At first, he just wants to kill the alchemists for what they did. But then, once we get into Brotherhood, he wants to redeem. He wants to redeem himself for having that hatred, and that's why he ends up working with them, and his character grows. So I agree that it's a really big theme, and it kind of makes the show.
Hohenheim's actually my favorite character throughout the entire series, really.
But he's only in like.
I know, right? He has such a minuscule part, but like without him, there is no Fullmetal
that's
Alchemist.
Yeah.
true.
So in a way, like
And both of
he's-
them, too, think about
yeah,
it, yeah.
and both of them really. Like he's the one who really set things in motion. He set the entire story in motion. How he and even like throughout the series, like he basically found a way to become immortal essentially. And now he's throughout the series. I know in Brotherhood, he's trying to like redeem himself by eliminating the homunculi. He realized it's like what I was trying to do was right for me at that moment. However, now that I look at it, now that I have everything, like this is wrong, and I have a duty to get the Philosopher's Stone and destroy the homunculi.
I don't think Hohenheim in Brotherhood meant to be immortal. That was something that the Flask did.
Yeah.
You know, the
Yeah,
man in the Flask forced immortality on him. He didn't want it, essentially. You know, I think that's more of an just regular FullMetal Alchemist. You know, again, that goes more into the ending that I don't want to spoil for Al for Jake. No, at least in You understand? That's one of the questions I want to bring up was, what do you think between the ending of FullMetal versus Brotherhood? Because that was like
Oh, the
huge
endings.
difference.
Yeah.
Oh, you have no idea.
If you look at if you look at the first half of each of the series, the original and Brotherhood, they're almost exactly the
Yeah.
same. I
There's
mean,
a splitting part.
the original goes a little bit slower because they were keeping up with the manga, but then they ended up going faster than manga, and that's why we have 2 separate series.
They
And they
actually
went-
finished before the manga finished.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. That
I
happens a lot.
felt that was a very big
Well,
mistake.
you finished the first original, right?
I did, yeah.
What do you think of the end?
I liked it. You know, a lot of
Cover
people.
your
Earmuffs, yeah.
For some reason, a lot of people don't like it.
I
you know?
hated it.
I really?
I
I
hated
loved
it.
it. When they tied into, again, huge spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen FullMetal Alchemist, turn off the computer right now. But when they tied into our world with the parallel worlds of the Nazis, it's huge. It's crazy. And that's not me joking. That's actually what it is.
Yeah, that's actually
They
what
tie,
it is.
yeah,
Like,
they-
that means nothing to me right now, you know
yeah,
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Basically what happens, I don't want to explain it, but I
keep
can't.
going. Just keep
But basically what happens is that at the end of FullMetal, we find out that the gate that took Ed's arm and leg and Alphonse's body is actually a portal to our world. And it's basically, yeah, it's heavy stuff, man. And it gets into some crazy stuff, but I wanted to ask what you guys thought about, you know, the major difference between it, you know, because there was a huge difference there's a huge fight at the end between the Man in the Plastic and Ed, but at the end we found out that the main villain inside FullMetal is his father, is Hohenheim, and he's the main villain along with his sort of wife, maybe, you know?
Yeah.
It's a little,
Yeah,
it gets
I
complicated.
didn't really understand it, but you know, if
What
you.
happens when you draw a script?
I mean, yeah, throughout the entire show itself, we can see, like, it's set in the early 1900s. We have, like, a World War I, World War II theme going on. You can see that, you know, throughout. I mean, we could spend an entire other podcast going into how the symbolism is there. But I kind of like that they turned it, you know, they tied our world into it, but I didn't think it was necessary. And also, the series ended on the cliffhanger. The series just ended. If you didn't watch the movie that came afterward, it made no sense.
I don't know.
And it was, so that's why I didn't like it, because you had to watch the movie afterward. And I felt that that's kind of unfair. I mean, sure, we all have access to the movie, but still.
How long did it take for the movie to come out after the end of the series?
I actually,
I think that's a big question to ask.
yeah, it was
It was a year.
yeah, it was almost
a
like,
year?
it was almost like waiting for the next season to come out.
They were just like, well,
That's pretty terrible.
Yeah,
more
it's-
episodes.
yeah.
I honestly I like the ending of the original better than Brotherhood because I like the original better. I almost liked it better because it almost made it fathomable. Like, oh, maybe we could find a way. If we come out with it, I want to go on the gate. Yeah.
Start drawing in the backyard. What are you doing?
I swear,
I'm making
man.
a wooden horse.
Like while I was watching this series, I would just slap my hand together and like touch things all the time. It was all the time. But I.
Sculpture.
It's not
You
working.
guys can't
Exactly.
see this, we just made a sculpture. It was like,
There you go.
You found the
Impressive.
way.
And honestly, I didn't mind the little cliffhanger at the end of the original because I thought it built up even more suspense. And once the movie came out, I thought it was really good and satisfied everything that
Oh
I
yeah,
was
once
hoping for.
the movie came out,
Yeah.
it was good.
Exactly.
But, you know,
So if you were watching it at the time and didn't have access to the movie immediately afterwards, I could see fans being very tight about that. But honestly, I didn't mind because I was able to go straight from the end of that to the movie. Yeah.
So was I, fortunately. It's really
yeah, I was able to as well, but
Well, I like how they leave some animes on cliffhangers. Like it leaves it open for the viewer to interpret it however you feel. That's what I took from it, and that's what I kind of like. And then I discovered like, oh, it's not over. Like I didn't realize because like I was watching it with it, and then I'm just like, oh, a cliffhanger. Okay, I'll think about that later. And then my friends were just like, did you feel like you saw the ending, right? Like, oh my god. Then what did you think of the movie? I'm like, what? The movie? And then so I watched the movie and I'm like, everything is okay now.
I
No longer angry.
I had something exactly like that with Brotherhood. Funny enough, of where on Netflix it goes up to season 3. But there's
Oh,
another
yeah.
It actually
season
goes
after
up
That
that.
happened to me too.
yeah.
I had no idea that was a thing. I was hanging.
I
with,
actually think they added season 4.
Did they?
Yeah, because I'm watching it on Netflix now. I actually just finished season 3 the
That
other
maybe there's
night.
a season
And
5,
they just started
No, yeah,
season
because it
4.
ends at like episode 54, and you're like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm like, all right, I got 3 more episodes left. Let's crush these. And then all of a sudden it's like, what? Like,
Yeah.
what just happened? And then I came to the school the next day, and Barb's like, yo, I got you on the link. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Finish
Well,
tonight.
a
I was like,
coworker
all
of mine, Bobby, actually told me because I got him into it as well. He was watching it. He was so incredible. Just that fight at the end. I go, what fight at the end? What do you mean? He goes, yeah, man. There's another season. I went mind blown because it had been like at least half a year since I finished watching Brother, and I was like,
He just dropped what he was doing, just quit.
you have no idea.
I'm out, boss.
Literally, I had like, I think probably 2 pairs the next day. I was like, yo, screw college, you know? It's like, this stupid stuff is ridiculous. I need to watch it. Damn.
But I think this right here just shows like how we as fans get into these series, and like Mike is imagining him being like a part of this. I am
Let's
guilty.
not lie, we've all done it.
Oh,
I gotta ask though, how old were you when you first started doing that?
It's last year.
I was an adult.
I was definitely in high school, probably like junior, senior year, and like I would just be like, my friends of mine who just don't watch anime, I'd just be like, yo, what's up, man? And you're like, what?
I was really hoping,
No, nothing.
I
I was really hoping you'd be older than me, but that was the exact same time I was doing it.
No.
I will admit I was a full adult. I was here in college when I watched it last year.
Yeah.
And I wasn't going around touching everything, making sculptures, but I was imagining like, I wonder what kind of alchemist I would be.
Yeah.
What kind of alchemist would you be?
Yeah.
Would you want to
That's a
be?
good question.
That's a good question.
Attaboy, Marty.
No answer though. It's hard.
I would like a mix, because like Ed does like a little bit of everything. He kind of messes with the earth a little bit. He messes with metal. He's an earth metal
He's
kind of
very
guy.
picky. He's just like, whatever's available, I'll do.
Yeah.
That's the thing, when you think about it, like, he really only centers around Earth. You know,
Yeah.
he does the arm, to make a sword, he does like the big,
He does like a lot
stuff.
of things pertaining to like minerals containing.
He kind of
like,
breaks
property.
the laws of physics by making vehicles, but I mean,
Hey, let's not
But I
touch
feel-
greatness.
I feel like each of them kind of does base themselves on an element. Colonel Mustang is fire. He's the flame alchemist.
We had the
And-
Ice Alchemist to start the entire series.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then, I mean, even if we think about the Crimson Alchemist, we haven't talked about him yet.
Oh my God.
He's fun.
What a guy.
But if you think he's making explosions, lightning, that's still kind of with the element of
Yeah, it's still
fire.
like the
but I
electric
think
as
what it
well.
really comes down to is that Edward didn't really formally study a single alchemy. He kind of did, like his master, a broad range. She was able to transmute anything she touched, where everyone else, because they didn't have the clap of the hands, do whatever you need to, they needed to make a single, emblem, and that's why Colonel Mustang has the glove, the Crimson Alchemist
they're more
has his hands.
specialized.
They're specialized in one thing, which is why in a fight between Ed and Mustang's gonna win because he's specialized in one thing. He's gonna be able to take him out, and he knows certain ways to get around it with his one thing. Where Ed, he can be imaginative and do a lot of things, which is why he wins his fights. And it's the only reason he wins. He is imaginative, but that's the biggest thing. If it was a fight between FullMetal and the Flame Alchemist and say, who's the Armstrong? That's gonna be a different fight because it's not
They're both-
Edward being able to do one. It's two different elements going against each other.
They're both specialized in
Right.
what they do. Which
If-
I think this, we haven't talked about him yet either. We haven't talked about Major Armstrong. He's also quite fun.
He
I
is
love
an
him.
amazing character.
I love
Sure needs him.
that. I love every time you get that sparkle in his eye and
Oh
the
my
sparkles
God.
around him.
That was so confusing for me. Like the first time watching, I was like, oh, all right, cool.
It's like, he's
gotta
this
roll.
flamboyant guy.
Yeah.
And you realize, like, this guy is really strong.
Yeah. That moment.
If you couldn't tell from like his entire body.
I think my favorite moments in both series is when Armstrong meets their master's husband, and they just have that moment of bro.
They're like immediately friends after that.
No
Incredible.
words,
Just-
no word interaction, just like,
Muscle.
Yeah.
we got it, flex. We communicate through flexing, that's how we got this.
Oh, dude.
I actually love the one part of the original series where Major Armstrong actually brings the Elric brothers to his house, and you find out his whole family is like that. And then in Brotherhood, we actually meet Major Armstrong's older sister, who's
I
the
love
gen-
her.
the general of the North.
Yeah, she's cool.
She is so awesome, and she's almost nothing like him. She doesn't have that flamboyant nature. Yeah,
She's
she's
a
still.
very serious character.
Yeah, they're stern.
However, like when you notice like the interactions, like she's just like the older sister. She's just like, no, you're gonna stop that. This is what we're doing. You're
Yeah.
gonna follow my orders. And he's just like, okay.
I'm gonna be honest. When I answered the "Who's your favorite character" question, I had forgotten about Major Armstrong. So if I could rescind my answer, go with Major Armstrong, that'd be cool.
I thought it was Winry.
Yeah.
My favorite's the mother.
Shout out to her.
Do you mean the mother or?
Edward's actual birth mother. Yeah.
Because
The one that they're trying to rescue.
she comes back in a very mysterious way as one of the homunculus.
Well, that's
Spoiler
only-
again, yeah.
Well,
Sorry,
that's in the
dude.
original.
Yeah.
That's the,
It-
not Brotherhood.
Not in Brotherhood, and that's one of the biggest differences between the two series is what they do with the homunculi.
True.
In the original series, the homunculi, spoiler alert, turn your computers off, It was the homunculi were failed human transmutations.
Yeah, they weren't. They didn't come from scratch as they did in Brotherhood.
Right.
They were taken from actual humans to give them immortality. However, obviously things went wrong and they were associated with one of the 7 deadly sins. But what I liked in the original FullMetal is that they considered each other half siblings to the Elric brothers.
Right.
Yes.
Oh,
Because
really?
their father did create them, so technically they are still family. I mean. However you look at it, whatever through means of creation, they were still created by the father.
Yeah, envy was the biggest one on that, and
Yeah.
I think that was part of the reason why they did that was he was envious of them.
He's the real. He's kind of
The real son, because he was the first homunculus.
All right,
Right?
son, man.
Envy was the first one. It was the pride. He's jealous of the Elric brothers because they're the original creation, and I feel as though, in Envy's mind, he kind of saw Edward and Al as the original creations, and we were just the copies that were trying to mimic them.
Right.
So that's why he had almost hatred towards them.
I wonder, they made that difference too. Envy was the first homunculus in the original, and then Pride was the original in Brotherhood, and he's just this little kid that's actually the so-called son of
Son of
Wrath.
Wrath, almost,
And
yeah.
Mastermind. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Wrath is
well-
the only one who's half
actually
human.
human, yeah.
Yeah. He's a product
I
of
loved
failed
that they did that. I thought that story was pretty well
Let's
done.
discuss the
They kinda make you
differences
feel
between the
for
homunculus and both series. Because there was, again, a huge split-offs. Yes, you have
Yeah.
gluttony, lust, envy, are the only ones. No, those are the only ones really the same,
Greed,
though. in
Greed
both
was
of
the
them.
same.
And Greed,
Well, Greed was
halfway.
was the same.
Mostly they're the same, but Sloth was different. You had
Completely.
the Monster Sloth in Brotherhood, or the Mother Sloth, again, sorry, in the regular one. Wrath was different. Wrath was
Wrath was
the child of the mother.
the child of the teacher.
Teacher, sorry, that's
Yes.
right, the master, which was the huge thing. That's why she has no internal organs, because she tried to, do the human transmutation.
Yeah. kinda
Which
like-
how
And,
she
uh,
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
wow.
she took her internal organs taken away, which is why she's always sick.
how she's
Pride
actually
is different.
alive.
Pride inside FullMetal is actually
Pride in
is
the
the
original.
Fuhrer.
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
he's Wrath is that, which again, actually one of my favorite characters is also Wrath/Pride. The Fuhrer is freaking awesome.
Yeah, the fear is
Oh
great.
my god, he's
They
a
make you
monster.
feel for him, like
They really
make
do.
him have
It's
crazy
How they
emotions.
give his, I don't know if you're up to it, but how they give his backstory of how he became Wrath.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
see,
I liked him a lot
what he
better
had
in
to go
Brotherhood.
through in order to become Wrath.
Fuhrer, yeah.
He was just wow.
Yeah, even
they
not
trained him.
becoming just Wrath, but becoming Wrath and the Fuhrer. Yeah,
Did any of you guys see it coming when they showed Pride as a child?
No.
That
No,
was something that
no,
blew
that
my
was-
mind.
That
I was
was
like, no
such a
way.
plot.
As soon as
twist.
they showed the Fuhrer as Wrath, I was like, wait, who the heck is Pride then?
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
waiting
for
for
sure.
I waited for some big hero to come in out of nowhere. Child, oh my god.
Here's my thing. My theory at first was at first I thought it was who could it be? So I started guessing as to who it could be. I thought it was Maze. I thought he came back.
Yeah.
I thought they
Oh.
didn't kill him fully, they had the body, but afterwards the homunculi grabbed his body and just made him into a homunculi. I thought he was gonna be Pride.
That
I was
would've
gonna
been
be
crazy.
That would have been
No,
horrifying.
That would-
is Colonel Mustang, and then he's just
Oh, that would've been
Oh,
great.
That would've been
Go make a fan fiction.
Yeah.
That would have been nuts.
Oh my god, that would
That would've
have messed with my
insane.
head.
Speaking of the Fuhrer, even before they went into his backstory, anytime he came in and communicated with Al or Alphonse, he had just this awesome air about him of just oh, this guy's so cool. He's got an eye patch and a sword. He does awesome things. He's super cool. And you just from the start, you were watching him, seeing what he did, and thinking that he's a really cool character. And then once you find out he's a homunculi, you're just oh,
Yeah.
It was cool without the eye patch and sword.
Like Jake said, we are at an alley. Just everything that happens just happens to them as well. It's crazy.
I really don't know about you guys, but I suspected it from the start. I was
Really?
like, this guy.
All right, Kevin.
Oh, the
Go
fear,
home.
yeah,
Go
the fear. The fear. I suspected the son not at all.
No,
the
the
fear,
son,
yo.
not
I was
the
like,
son.
yo, that fear is
He
suspect.
seems so
You know?
nice.
No, but he was so ruthless.
he
The
was.
Yeah.
first episode, I was like,
He's the
Yeah.
freaking Fuhrer.
Yo,
why is the
He
Fuhrer
gotta
down
be-
there doing dirty work? It's
That's true. That's a good point. However,
I saw him
it's
coming as Pride, as Pride in the first one. I was like, yo, there's no way he's gonna come on this. It's be crazy. I didn't expect it to be the top dog, but still.
I like how they incorporated the 7 deadly sins into the homunculi, though. How, especially the reference. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the 7 deadly sins, but how they kill Greed in FullMetal Alchemist Brotherhood, how they boils him alive. That's funny because originally in the stories, Greed actually does betray the master and is boiled alive until
wow.
he learns from his mistake to not do that again.
I loved how they brought him back, though. How they brought Greed back. For those of you that don't know, there was an extra character in Brotherhood that wasn't in the original series. His name is Ling, and he's from the country of Jing.
Awesome.
Yeah, I loved him. He was great. He was fun. He was so laid back, but he's looking for the Philosopher's Stone because the Emperor has so many kids, and he wants to be the chosen one.
Yeah.
So
That's a
he's
big thing that's new too. Is bringing in the Eastern. Like, they bring in other countries, which is crazy. They have the countries in the north, which is they didn't really touch onto it more, but it was a pretty big problem. That's why the general was up there. General Armstrong was defending the north. But when they brought in the people from the east and the whole search for the Philosopher's Stone as well, it was pretty good.
Yeah. So what ends up happening is that he's going so crazy doing this that he actually willingly accepts the Philosopher's Stone to become Greed. And you actually see a little bit of turmoil in that he's kind of fighting greed after he learns like what greed is, but he accepts it.
They do find some medium ground
Yes.
when Greed is inside his body. They do kind of work together there.
Yeah,
Which is
eventually,
really cool
but
stuff.
at first they had a little bit of turmoil. Greed was kind of taking over, and then every now and then Ling kind of would, say something, like especially to Wrath about humans, saying, "Oh, they're not that bad." And it's like, well, obviously that's not homunculus talking.
Yeah, that's kind of like the point. But real fast before, because we are reaching our time limit here, and I'm aware that some of you guys have to go. Troy Baker did the voice of Greed in the
Did he?
English. Yes, he is. He's the voice of it. I wish he would do more anime because he is an amazing.
I love his
actor.
voice.
killed it,
He's
dude.
great.
Killed it.
He's amazing. And unfortunately, this is the last question. It's really just going to be, you're just going to choose one. Which out of it, unfortunately Mike just left us, but which of the FullMetal Alchemist is your favorite?
Well, Mike already said that his favorite was the original, so we can kind of just let you guys know that.
There we go. All right, Jake, what about you?
As of right now, it's Brotherhood because it's the only one I've completed. But I'm on my way to finishing.
That's the same for me. I haven't finished the original, but I don't know. Brotherhood, I've seen both, and it's such a step up in quality of animation and voice acting.
Well, that's kind of hard to say because Brotherhood came a couple years after the first
Yeah,
movie.
the
Why
original-
it looks better.
Yeah,
but-
the original came out in 2003. Brotherhood came out 7 years later in 2010. So of course, the quality.
But
so-
I like Brotherhood. Brotherhood, I like it better.
Yeah,
Your Brotherhood too?
Yeah.
I'm not saying one way or the other.
He's on the fence. All right, that's fair.
That's an option. That's an option in between.
It's not, but all right.
My favorite's actually Brotherhood. But anyway, thank you guys for joining me on the podcast. And hopefully you guys will be willing to join me for another one in the future. But until then, we will see you guys next time.